I can't believe Oda actually foreshadowed Luffy's entire origin using ancient Hindu mythology. What if Luffy's mother was originally a celestial dragon? And what if Luffy wasn't just Joy Boy's successor, but a reincarnation of a literal god? Before we dive in, I just want to give a special shout out to one of my subscribers who effortlessly shared some incredible insights on the parallels between Luffy's origin and Hindu mythology. Huge thanks, man. In the Ramayana, Hanuman was the wild child of a cursed celestial and the wind god, born to rebel, born to protect, born with power no one could contain. And the deeper you look into One Piece, the more it starts to feel like Luffy's story was built on the same mythic blueprint. From his chaotic childhood to his power over lightning and flame, even his devil fruit. Everything points to one chilling possibility. Luffy's lineage is divine itself. In ancient lore, Hanuman's story begins with a curse. His mother, Anjana, was once a celestial nymph, cast out of the heavens and bound to the world of monkeys because she dared to live with compassion. And strangely enough, that sounds eerily familiar to what might have happened to Luffy's own mother in One Piece. Now, hear me out. What if Luffy's mother was originally a celestial dragon? Not the kind we despise, but one who actually showed mercy, one who helped the poor, one who believed in freedom. And for that, she could have been punished, exiled, erased from history by Emu. That would explain why she's completely absent from the story, even though every other main character's family has been revealed in some way. Then she meets Dragon, the man the world government fears most, a man who commands storms, who bends wind to his will. It's never been explained outright, but that moment with Ivankov, the massive gust of wind as he arrives, it wasn't just flair, it was foreshadowing. If Hanuman's father is Vayu, the wind god, then in One Piece, Dragon is the Vayu figure. And if that's true, then Luffy was literally born of rebellion and divine punishment, just like Hanuman. But that's just the beginning. Hanuman as a kid? Absolutely unhinged. He flew around, pulled pranks on sages, tried to eat the sun thinking it was a fruit, and had an insatiable love for sweets. Now think of Luffy. From the time he was little, all he did was cause chaos, stealing food, throwing punches, picking fights, but with the purest heart imaginable. The energy, the appetite, the mischief, it's uncanny. And it wasn't just that they were wild. Both were raised under strong maternal figures. Anjana for Hanuman, Dadan for Luffy. Women who weren't exactly motherly in the traditional sense, but they still gave everything to raise these forces of nature. They didn't teach obedience. They let them grow wild, pure, and unbroken. But here's where it gets even weirder. That same hunger, that endless craving for food, Luffy shares it with Bonney. And Bonney just so happens to be the daughter of a celestial dragon, possibly manipulated through experiments tied to time and aging. So maybe hunger in One Piece is symbolic, not just for food, but for life itself. For vitality, rebellion, freedom, things the world government tries to suppress. And what happened next? Nobody saw coming. So Hanuman sees the sun in the sky and thinks, yo, that orange thing looks delicious. And he leaps, straight into the sky, straight at the sun. But the gods freak out. Indra, king of the heavens, blasts him out of the sky with a thunderbolt. Hanuman falls and almost dies. But here's the wild part. His father, the wind god, gets so mad that he stops the flow of air across the entire world. No oxygen, nothing, and the gods panic. To fix their mistake, they shower Hanuman with divine blessings. Immortality, shape-shifting, immunity to fire, thunder, water, even divine weapons couldn't hurt him. Now pause. Look at what's happened to Luffy across the series. He gets hit by Enel's lightning, completely immune. Kaido hits him with fire, thunder, and raw force. And Luffy just laughs. Gear 5 turns him into this shape-shifting, reality-bending force that moves like a cartoon god. He's literally been called a warrior of liberation. And if Law actually used the Oppa Ope no Mi's immortality surgery on him, which is still a huge theory floating around, then Luffy might already be walking the path of the Chiranjeevi, the undying rebel. And the kicker? Hanuman learns everything from the sun god. And what's the name of Luffy's devil fruit again? The Hito Hito no Mi model, Nika, the sun god. It's like the fruit itself is a spiritual teacher, awakening something ancient inside of Luffy. But that's just scratching the surface. In Hindu mythology, Hanuman is worshipped as the one who can defeat the power of Shani, the planet Saturn, the lord of karma and suffering. If you're cursed by Saturn, Hanuman is the one you pray to. And here's the thing. In One Piece, Saint Saturn is literally a godlike figure with planetary themes, immense power, and untouchable authority. But during the Egghead Island battle, Luffy doesn't fight Saturn directly. He just exists. He laughs. He dances. and his very presence causes the elders to lose control of the battlefield. When Joy Boy roars with Conqueror's haki, it doesn't just push back the enemy, it spiritually purifies the space. Like Hanuman rebuking Saturn, Luffy doesn't need to land the final blow. His very existence breaks the curse. And that's not even the craziest part. Most people don't know this, but Hanuman wasn't just a warrior. He was a master of dharma, the divine law. He knew the scriptures, mastered the Vedas, and became a moral guide for flawed kings like Sugriva. He didn't just fight demons, he corrected the hearts of people. Now think of Luffy. He's constantly surrounded by broken men, pirates, tyrants, monsters, and yet over and over again he changes them. Think Crocodile, think Law, think even Bellamy. Luffy's chaos doesn't destroy them, it redeems them. He doesn't preach, he just lives with absolute freedom, and that somehow becomes the compass for everyone around him. He doesn't care about glory, he doesn't want followers, but somehow, people follow him anyway. And it gets even deeper. The final war won't be fought alone. The sun god in Hindu myth rides a chariot pulled by 7 horses, 7 symbolic energies. And if Luffy mirrors the sun god, maybe his crew, the Straw Hat Pirates, are already complete. Think about it. Every member represents a core part of his journey, and any new additions like Yamato or Vivi, they're more like temporary warriors of light, not permanent crew. So if you're waiting for another Nakama to join, maybe that part of the journey is done. The next allies? They're not family, they're fellow gods of the battlefield, but there's something even more sacred waiting in the shadows. The Ramayana isn't just a love story, it's the journey of the Jivatma, the individual soul, trying to reunite with Paramatma, the higher self. Sita is stolen by Ravana, the demon of ego and desire, and Rama goes to the ends of the earth to bring her back. Now hold on, what if Luffy's mother isn't just some side character? What if she's the key to all of this? Imu, who we suspect rules from the shadows, could be the Ravana figure, a force that stole something sacred from the world. What if Luffy's true goal isn't just the One Piece, but the restoration of divine truth? Maybe his mother represents that, the last link to Joy Boy, to Nika, to the light that was stolen from the world. And Luffy, like Rama, won't stop until she's free. But the battlefield for that war? It's already been chosen. Wano isn't just another island, it's the birthplace of ancient truth. The Kozuki clan knew about Joy Boy. They preserved the poneglyphs. They sacrificed everything to protect the roadmap to freedom. And if Imu has corrupted parts of Wano's legacy, then the final battle will involve secrets buried deep under its soil. Momonosuke's role isn't over, not by a long shot, and what happens next might shake the heavens themselves. When you really pause and start piecing everything together, not just the superficial similarities like the monkey theme or their bottomless appetites, but the deeper symbolic parallels that thread across myth and manga, it becomes harder and harder to ignore the feeling that Luffy's story isn't just a coincidence or a patchwork of pirate tropes, but a deliberate echo of something ancient, something divine, something so deeply rooted in storytelling across cultures that it practically vibrates beneath the surface of One Piece, and that something might just be the legend of Hanuman. Because think about it, Hanuman wasn't born just to exist. He was born with purpose buried in his very being, the child of a cursed celestial and the wind god, destined to rebel, to rise, and to serve a cause far greater than himself. And Luffy, while never spoken about in such grand terms by the story itself, has quietly walked that same path, a boy born of mystery, possibly to a celestial mother exiled for her compassion, and a father who commands the wind and wages war against gods in suits. Their lives may be separated by centuries, cultures, and contexts, but their essence, that wild, unbreakable, divine spark, is undeniably the same. And the more you look at the way Hanuman's myth unfolds, the more it starts to feel like Luffy has been tracing that blueprint from the very beginning, even if he doesn't realize it. Hanuman tried to swallow the sun, thinking it was a fruit, and got struck down by a god for daring to reach beyond his station. Luffy, too, was once a boy with outstretched arms, reaching for dreams far too big for the world to allow, constantly mocked, beaten, and underestimated. And yet, every time he falls, he rises with something even the gods can't control. Joy, a rubbery, chaotic, overwhelming joy that bends reality, breaks order, and reshapes the very laws of power around him. Hanuman was blessed with boons that defied the elements and death itself, shape-shifting, immortality, resistance to divine weapons. And now look at Luffy. Gear 5 lets him become anything, survive anything, and laugh in the face of thunder, fire, and even gods. His power isn't just strength, it's transformation, liberation, a living metaphor for spiritual freedom, much like Hanuman himself. And when you remember that sun god Nika, the very fruit that unlocked Gear 5, might have been Luffy's unseen teacher or guiding force all along, it becomes impossible to ignore just how spiritual his growth has been. Luffy doesn't train in the traditional way, he just feels, learns by instinct, by joy, by pain, just like a divine being rediscovering forgotten strength with each challenge. And we haven't even touched on how Hanuman stood against Saturn, the planet of karma. Just like Luffy faces Saint Saturn, not with hatred or direct attacks, but by simply existing as a force so untamed, so alive, that karma itself bends around him. Joy Boy's Conqueror's haki doesn't just knock enemies out, it shakes the room, makes the elders step back, breaks through ages of oppression without even trying. That's not just power. That's presence, that's dharma, that's the will of the gods speaking through flesh. And maybe that's what this is all really building toward, because Luffy has never chased power for power's sake. He doesn't want the throne or glory or worship, he just wants freedom for himself and everyone else. And in doing so, he's become the embodiment of something greater than any king or hero or god. Just like Hanuman, who never claimed divinity but still became the bridge between mortals and the divine, Luffy is slowly becoming the one who carries others to the dawn. The dawn Joy Boy once promised, the dawn that the Kozuki clan protected, the dawn that Imu has tried for centuries to prevent. And if Oda really is pulling from this myth, if Luffy is truly Hanuman reborn in a world of pirates, kings, and devils, then the final saga isn't just going to be a war for treasure or territory. It's going to be a war for the soul of the world. A battle between systems that cage people in fear and one boy who refuses to be bound. And not because he wants to rule, but because he can't stand to see anyone else suffer under chains he knows can be broken. So maybe, just maybe, Luffy isn't Joy Boy 2.0. Maybe he's not the pirate king in the traditional sense. Maybe he's something far more primal, far more sacred, a divine troublemaker, a monkey born of wind and rebellion, a walking force of dharma in a lawless age. Maybe Luffy is Hanuman with a straw hat? And if that's true, then the heavens don't stand a chance.